Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Project GEEKCast. My name is Josh Jones, and I'm here with my good friend Chris Glansman.
Oh,
Today, we're going to have a bit more of a serious conversation on the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about representation in video games specifically, maybe a little bit on media, but mostly video games. This comes in light of the killing of George Floyd, which I'm sure that many of you guys have heard about, and just police brutality in general, and the riots and the protesting that's happening. Crazy times we're living in. And so we just wanted to kind of address not exactly what's going on. We will hopefully have some links in the description that you can educate yourself on, donate, petition, whatever. We're not going to push you anyway, but we would like to have a nice conversation about representation.
yeah. I feel like it's important, especially in times like this, with such things going on, to talk about the impact of race on people and on media.
So, Chris, what do you think about representation in the media right now? Like, do you think that there is a space for a diversity of different voices?
I think it's important to have a diversity of voices and representation of characters, not just um, the voices of the characters, especially
Mhm.
given kind of how everything is going right now. I feel like it's been trending in the right direction. It's been more trying to cast people for the roles that, I guess, not giving roles to white people that are not white characters, if that makes sense for the most
Mhm.
part.
Yeah.
uh there are naturally exceptions, and there are problems with that still, but I feel like we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I got you. I'm on both sides. I do think that we're definitely doing better. I do think there's a better opportunity for Black voices to be heard. I mean, back during our high school days, we made a podcast about Black Panther getting
Hmm.
an Oscar nomination, and that same year, Green Book won the Oscar. However, I do think that there is still a significant problem in just like the casting of like different movies, casting of characters in video games, just in general, just because I feel like we live in a very white society where white voices are heard a lot more than those of different races, whether it be black, Asian, whatever. But I definitely do think that we have seen an increase of diversity in the media, but I don't think that we're anywhere near good enough yet. Like even last year, I think there was still an issue within the Oscars about it being just a lot of white people.
Mm. Yeah, that's a large, it's kind of a large concern. Did you
Not that I
see,
hate. Go ahead.
speaking of that, well, somewhat related, but a little bit off topic. I think it was HBO just removed Gone with the Wind from streaming.
Really?
Yeah, which is kind of weird because I don't know exactly. That's in that movie. I can't remember the name of her character, but that was the first African American to ever win an Oscar is for that movie.
Hmm. Was it was it taken off for any specific reason, or was it just like licensing
Because
problems?
of what's happening right now, they felt, I guess,
Um,
that it was insensitive to.
Weird.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I haven't seen Gone with the Wind, and the character does play. Is she a slave or is she just like a helper?
I think she is one of the internal servants who's like a mother figure to Scarlet.
Got you.
It's
Because
been a long time.
but that must have like just happened because I was scrolling through my HBO Max recently and I saw it and I was like, okay, I'll add like this is a very famous movie. I'll add it to the list because I haven't seen it yet. But I mean, I haven't seen the movie, so I really don't know the context of anything, so I can't really speak upon whether or not I agree or disagree. But if I guess if it's sort of a racist portrayal of a character, but I guess I have no idea because she won the Oscars, what she said, right?
Mhm.
Very interesting. I'll definitely have to look into that. That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
it might have just been like yesterday or 2 days ago, because my dad just passed it on to me, I think last night.
Hmm, interesting. All right, so let's get more into our discussion on video games because I feel like video games are part of the media that we don't really discuss all that often when we talk about diversity.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like it's such a kind of pervasive part of society at this point, with even people who are very disconnected have opinions on some aspect or another. So I feel like it's kind of important to talk about video games in general, but specifically about this kind of thing.
Definitely. And I remember a couple years ago there was this huge trend of like the white guy facing backwards on the cover of the game with like a gun over his back. Like and like that was a cover for like so many different like I remember like it was like Uncharted 4 had one of those. I don't
Bioshock Infinite has one.
I like almost like so many games released in like the 2000 like 12 to like 15, 16 years. That was like the only cover that ever happened, and I remember that was a big deal. That was very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I don't pay that much attention. I don't have that many games. Um, but now that you point it out, I do see I do see that, yeah.
It's on a lot of games. Uh, but besides that, in recent years, do you think there's been good representation in video games? And you can branch this out for more than just race, because race, of course, is the reason why we're talking about this, but it's not the only type of diversity.
Yeah, I feel like generally the the nice thing is that we've kind of been trending towards not only um, characters of different races being portrayed, or the option of playing as a different races, or customizing a character to match yourself, um, but it's portraying a characters set characters in different ways than are normally seen. Like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the remake, the reboot, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, there's it's not perfect by any means, but there is I can never remember the name of the actress. Um, but she is I don't know what her background is. I assume she is I don't know,
We'll flash
but
it right here.
we'll flash it.
I'll put it. I'll
She
put it up.
plays Farah, and is kind of a freedom fighter in a made up country in the Middle East. Um, but it's representative. It kind of flips it on. They are the good guys, and the generals of the U.S. military are kind of the bad guys. And how,
Hmm.
while she is a good guy because of some spoiler alerts, because of bad actions of someone close to her, her entire group is is kind of marked as terrorists, even though they have done nothing wrong. It's kind of showing that, which I don't know. It's interesting to see that this other perspective, that it's not always what everything else is, not always exactly what it seems to be.
Yeah, definitely. I find it very interesting that you like went with. I know that she's also of Middle Eastern descent. Is that what you said?
I assume so.
Again,
I
we'll
haven't
have
done
it
much
flashed
research on
here
her.
if
This
we're
is kind of a
wrong.
spontaneous thing. I didn't.
Yeah, no, yeah. I find it interesting that you pointed out a woman because I also feel like in terms of representation in video games, there's been a bigger emphasis on female characters in games. Like I know Lara Croft has always been, has been a staple of video games for a really long time now, but like she's very much desexualized from her original appearance, and she's kind of just like this cool, flawed like character.
Mhm.
Um, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn was huge. There's Senua's Sacrifice. I haven't played that yet, but that's like a huge game about like mental illness, and it has a female protagonist in it. The Last of Us Part Two is coming out, and that game you get to play as Ellie, who's not only a woman but also a lesbian woman. And I just I definitely think that there's been an increase in female representation in video games. However, I do think that there has been a lack of race diversity or racial diversity in video games. It's I went on Wikipedia a couple days ago and I was scrolling through like the list of like black characters in video games, and there was like, and of course like it's Wikipedia, so it's what it is, but it was like a list of like 50 names
Mhm.
of like prominent black characters. I was like, that's not many at all, and a lot of them were like Barrett from Final Fantasy VII, who is a big character in the game, but he's not like the main. He's not the main protagonist. He's not the main character. And I feel like frequently you see, you know, these people of different races being pushed to side characters or like the token character in that game.
Yeah, I definitely get that. And even when you bring that up, I feel like I can think of a couple characters off the top of my head that are not the main character, which I is what you're talking about, but they're not just necessarily token characters. They're very important plot
Yeah,
wise, which is not obviously the perfect system. But I mean, I feel like it has come into a better position than it has been in the past.
definitely. And there's like a lot of like great examples of characters like Clementine from the Telltale Walking Dead games, and even I forget what his name was, the person in season one. He's also black, I believe. There's Franklin from GTA 5. People don't really care for this game, but Lincoln Clay in Mafia 3. Um, there are definitely more characters in like recent years uh, who show different diversities, but like honestly, I couldn't even think of like an Asian character, unless of course we count like Yakuza, but like that's or like Persona, but like those are like strictly like based in like East Asian culture.
hmm I can think of maybe one Asian character, and he's Japanese, and he's voiced by a white voice actor. So that kind of only half counts.
Yeah,
So
so like,
there's that.
so what do you think of that? What do you think of representation of these different characters, or of these like diverse characters, but they're not played by an accurate um,
Yeah, I
portrayal? If you know
mean,
what I mean.
the thing about that is, it's you really should look to find people who are representative of the character that you are, or not representative of, but who are more similar, I guess, race-wise to who they're playing, or character-wise to who they're playing. Um, or like in a lot of cases in a lot of games, design the character after the person voicing them, if that makes sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it's especially I hate to keep bringing up Call of Duty, but that's one of the series that I regularly play. Um, in in games for the past couple years, they've been directly modeling the characters in the game after the people who are voicing them. So in like Infinite Warfare, Kit Harington, just as not as a example relevant to this, but he looks like uh, the
Yeah.
character design after him. So I feel like it's important to have the people who are voicing the characters actually be, I don't know exactly the word I'm looking for, be related. It's not
Almost
the right
like
word.
like a proper correlation between
Or the
their
correlation between the character and the person,
yeah,
whether that be in character to voice actor, or the voice actor resembles the character,
definitely. So
or the other way around.
I have another question for you, not to put you on the spot again.
I don't know.
But in the new God of War game, the voice actor, I don't know if the voice actor was always black, like for the original one, but they got a new voice actor to play Kratos, and he's black.
Mm.
So what do you think of something like that?
I mean, I feel like in the name of fairness, it has to be. I have to say the same thing.
Hmm.
Um, while it's good that there he's even considered that he's considered for the job, and I'm sure he did great by having played the game. But from what I've seen, he sounds really cool, um,
It's so
and he
good.
does a good job voicing the character. Um, I I have to say that the characters should generally, or as frequently as possible, be voiced by someone of the same
Mhm.
race, I guess.
Mhm. So not to be the black guy who disagrees with the white guy, but I think in this situation, I think that giving so since Kratos is already an established character, it's
Mm,
like there's no tailoring this like really good actor to fit him properly, right?
mm.
If you wanted to tell that story, and I think that allowing someone of a different race to play them, like allows these voices to like allows like underprivileged people or not or often underprivileged people to have a shot in like good careers.
Yeah, that's true too. And if you want to be entirely technical, isn't Kratos is technically a god? so we could separate him from race entirely. So it doesn't
It's
matter.
it's definitely so I meant to top this segment off with like it's like such a complicated, like deep, like not straightforward issue. So like I feel like whatever we say, like both of us are obviously pushing for representation and diversity in the media. So like for you audience, like know that anything that either of us say is like totally in goodwill, and like it's not easy. Like I don't even know what I exactly I want from everything. It's
Yeah,
definitely weird.
and I can rarely speak English, so I will say things that sometimes do not sound the way that is how I intend.
You've only been speaking it for almost 2 decades, Chris.
2 decades in 6 months.
See? um, so something else that you mentioned earlier was customizable characters, and I find that interesting. How do you think customizable characters have affected representation?
I think the thing about customizable characters is it's one of the I guess the easiest and one of the better ways to represent a main character or a main playable character. Because the thing about customizable characters is, I feel like the big thing with representation in general is for people to be able to see reflections of themselves in these roles, where they can say, I, this is something that I could see myself doing. I could be the hero in the situation, that kind of stuff, or I can do great things.
Hmm.
And it's important for people to see that. And I think through customization, you can not, it's not just, hey, I make funny character, haha. It's I can make someone that I feel represents me, and through that I directly am doing these things, and I can, I guess, yeah, I'm doing these things. This is me personally, or my representation or image of myself doing these great things that and then I maybe I can do something like this in the future.
Definitely, I totally agree. Actually, that makes me think a lot of my issues with older iterations of Pokemon and Animal Crossing. Because in Pokemon, up until X and Y, which came out in 2013, you couldn't change the race of your character. You were locked as I don't want to say white, because again, it's like a Japanese studio. I think Game Freak is Japanese, at
Yeah,
least.
I think so.
A Japanese studio. So I don't want to say white exactly, but it is the lighter skin color. There's no brown representation in that
Mm.
game up until 2013, which is a really long time, in my opinion. And even before then, there was no female character until 2000, which is after 5 iterations of the game, I believe, in Pokemon Crystal.
Is
And
it really that long?
yeah, I mean 5 iterations. So like red, like red, green counting as one, then
Red,
blue,
green, blue,
then
yellow. Wait,
and and then the games
red,
from the
blue,
Hoenn.
yellow, green.
Green is
Oh,
from
emerald, ruby, sapphire. Nope, those are red and blue.
yeah, no, so red. Wait, there were two that came out for everyone, right?
Hmm.
For the original Pokemon. Then there was one that just came out in Japan. Then there was Yellow. Then there was whatever the next generation is, which I think is Hoenn. No, Johto. The next one was Johto, so Gold and Silver. And then in the remake for Gold and Silver, Crystal, that's when you were finally able to play as a female character.
Yes. And then after that was ruby, sapphire, and emerald. I
Yeah.
figured it out. There we go. Sorry.
And I feel like it just took such a long time for anyone to like or oh and then sorry, let me get to Animal Crossing, then I'll go to my last point. And then in Animal Crossing, it took until new New Horizons, this most recent game which just came out this year, for them to allow people to like have full customization options of their character. In the previous game, you answered whatever that dog's character's name was. You answered some of his questions, and he popped you out as a character. And you could choose like whether or not you're a male or female. But after you were always a light skinned character. You can never be, brown. And
Hmm.
so those games, so Pokemon and Animal Crossing, never felt like I was in the world. It always felt like my character was in the world. Which, and I still had fun with them because like I enjoyed the main mechanics, but like there was a part of me that always wished, oh, I wish that they could look more like me, so I could feel like I was really in there talking to all these crazy animals. And finally, whenever they did, I immediately was like, yes, I want this option. Like I want to make someone who looks more like me,
Hmm.
but like a cute video game version of me.
Yes.
But it just took a while, I think. And I don't know why.
Yeah. I feel like it has in general gotten better. Games like Destiny did that immediately on release.
Hmm.
Um, other
And
games customization. I don't know if there is a well in Destiny you can change race and race.
yeah,
You could be the
like skin
alien. You
color
can be
and
awoken and exo or whatever. In Red Dead, can you? In Red Dead Online?
no. Oh, online? I think you can in online, but I haven't really played much of online.
I haven't either.
I haven't played any of it, is what I mean by not much.
I made my character and I played about a half an hour, but it was right after release, so I don't remember.
But I imagine that you could. I feel like
Probably.
Rockstar would have had that in. And like even in Destiny, where like you're typically in first person and like you can hardly ever see what you look like besides in like a handful of cutscenes. I think it's really awesome that they allowed you to choose your skin color and let you shape your character to how you want it to look.
Even in the tower, if you have the option off for
Yeah.
wearing helmet in peaceful situations.
Yeah, I also want to point out the Bungie live stream for for like their most recent Destiny announcement. At the very beginning of it, they had 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Like so, like they said, it starts at this time, but really, like it started 8 minutes and 46 seconds after to correlate with the time that George Floyd was held down, which I
Hmm.
thought was cool. And then they listed a whole bunch of things that you could donate to.
Yeah, I did see that. That was as I watched it late, so
Hmm.
I skipped through the 20 minutes of we're starting soon, and then I found that. So yes.
I definitely thought it was interesting.
Hmm.
Um, I guess speaking on that, what more do you think that developers could do?
I feel like the big thing is less. I don't know what I would say less on developers. It's more on the writers, I guess. The people who create the characters and the stories
Mhm.
to allow for the opening of these characters, and then to get people of different races and more diversity and all that stuff. And then up to the developers to design these characters in a way that is accurate or good.
Yeah,
Not
definitely.
exactly
Like,
the word I'm looking for, but you get what I'm saying.
yeah, like I mean, I don't know if this is exactly what you're saying, but like even appropriate, because I feel like there are some, at least in the past, there were like representation of characters who just like wasn't the hottest, right? Like, like I just giving these diverse characters strong, important roles in
Hmm.
these stories. And I do think that like your whole point about writers and the people like the people who are like initially drafting the game that's going to put out like before like everyone starts coding and whatever. It's important that like there are roles designated for these people, or at least open so that
Hmm.
any race could be inserted in, and then we give the opportunity like best like I, I don't know if like if a developer wants to be like I'm gonna try to get as many like black roles in here. I don't want them to have a quota because that's kind of gross, but of like giving everyone an equal opportunity to have these roles, because I feel like in a lot of stories it doesn't matter what what your gender is or what your orientation is or your race. They're just these people. They're characters, and they have emotions. They're all humans. And I also think that this kind of ties back to our conversation about God of War. Um, are the medium of video games is so reliant on previous IPs and bringing those back and remaking games and making more sequels and all of that kind of stuff, and um, it's locking video games to the same set of characters that we've had for like 40 years now. I think is like when NES got real big. Maybe a bit less, but we've kind of been stuck with like the same squad. And man, I love them. I love like Link and Mario and Nathan Drake and Joel and Ellie or whatever. But we can definitely have more main characters who are diverse.
And I think even more importantly in that. Um, if you are specifically designating characters for, it's like, hey, this character is black, this character is Asian, or whatever. They have to also be written well, because if you're gonna write a character, you can't write it in a way that is, how do I put this? Not terrible,
But not
because
terrible.
there's with a massive stereotypes or a bunch of other things.
Yeah, no, those are definitely like tricky holes that you can fall. I mean, I don't think they're that tricky.
No.
But maybe for someone who's unsure about these different cultures, because like I don't want to say that like people of different races are different, but there definitely are this different upbringing for certain people based on
Mhm.
like where you grow up in certain areas. But it's about not fitting every single person of like a race or gender or whatever into that box. It's a spectrum, and so
Yeah,
characters should be treated as if they are part of that spectrum.
it's writing a character as a character, not as a group.
Exactly. It's a good point.
All right, well, Josh, I think that about wraps up everything that we have for today.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching. If you have any interest, or even if you don't, we will in the description probably have some links to donate, petition, uh, educate yourself. If you're interested, if you're not, don't worry about it. But it's always nice to check out if you can.
Yeah. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell if you want to. Um, Thank you so much for talking to me, Chris. It's been a really good conversation. I think it's an important conversation to have, especially at a time like this.
Yep, definitely.
All right, and that's it for Project Geekcast. So this is Chris and Josh logging off.